Even many of those enthusiastic about bombing areas that ISIS currently operates in they frequently will pay lip service to the idea that we should minimize civilian casualties during those bombing. Not Donald Trump. He thinks, in fact, that they are essential. And you'll hear that here.
I would knock the hell out of. I like to do one thing at a time. I would knock the hell out of ISIS.
Okay.
I would hit them, Brian, so hard like they've never been hit before.
What about civilian casualties? What about the fact that we're targeting them and people are very concerned about collateral damage?
I would do my best, absolute best, but we're fighting a very politically correct war.
Yeah. Well, we see that
and the
happening
other
in
thing is with the terrorists, you have to take out their families. When you get these terrorists, you have to take out their families. They care about their lives. Don't kid yourself. But they say they don't care about their lives. You have to take out their families.
He said it 3 times.
Yeah, that was so shocking that even the Fox and Friends crew didn't nod along. Normally they're like,
yeah,
right? And they were like, they seem to have this look like, really? Okay. Yeah. Right? And so maybe I'm being too kind of them, but...
No, they didn't know exactly what to say, and that's why they forced him to elaborate exactly what did he mean. You're going to see this is literally right after that video shuts down, then you have this one.
So if ISIS is first on the docket, I would imagine that illegal immigration would be second on your docket.
Oh, no, they just went on as if he hadn't said anything about killing the innocent families of terrorists.
Yeah, she was, but she tried to cut him off twice before. She was getting told, move on.
Like, oh, he sounds like an insane
or
person.
just move on in the year. Do you think she thinks that, like, Elizabeth Hasselbeck, that she's still on Survivor? Like, and that Brian Kilmeade and Steve Doofy, Steve Doofy. Did I pronounce it wrong?
I like that.
That those are like the final 3, and she's still playing. I think that's what's happening.
Yeah.
Maybe just hold out.
You know she's leaving, but maybe she shivs him right before she leaves.
Is she leaving?
She is leaving, actually.
So where's she going?
It's a family thing, I think.
Oh, so she's done with TV?
Family.
TV?
She might go back at some point.
Okay.
It's a tremendous loss for journalism.
We're joking around, but
she's one of the best Survivor contestants to ever become a journalist.
One of the top 10, I think. So he said 3 times you have to take out their families. Oh, I would do my best. I would do my best to not kill innocents. Oh, by the way, I'm also intentionally going to try to kill the families of terrorists. We say very often it's frustrating that the idea that if you bomb a place, the people who lose family members there might become more radicalized or more sympathetic towards the terrorists. Fine. But if you say your policy is to kill the families of anyone involved in terrorism, how could that do anything other than be the biggest recruiting drive in the history of Islamic terrorism?
It's funny. I don't know, because I have, as I know Cenk does too. Like, we have these strong, badass, and I don't mean that in a good way, parts of our character. Like, and so this is a fantastical 24 world that he's talking about, right? If you tell me that killing a terrorist family would destroy the terrorist network, I would kill the terrorist family. I wouldn't even. If these are the kind of people these are the kind of people who do the Paris attacks, and all their families are at a party, and you'd kill all their families, or you'd call. I don't like, you're fighting a war. We get collateral damage all the time. At least this would be the correct collateral damage. But it's a nonsensical conversation, because we're not going to go in and pick up their families and pull them out and hold them hostage. Like, Jack Bauer is not involved in this. So Donald Trump answers these questions. Well, of course, Barack Obama would like to bomb the crap out of them, but we don't know where they are.
Yeah.
Like, and there are other people there. And when we do it and it doesn't work and we don't kill them, we create more of these people and more of this anger. So it's just, these are all nonsense conversations where he just gets to flex and posture. The mere thing that he's talking about, I got it. These guys started a thing, and if I would hurt them where it hurts, and I would hurt them hard, and I wouldn't hurt them. And I wouldn't.
That was more nuanced than what Trump just said. There.
Right, but I wouldn't look back. I got it. But it doesn't matter. It's not a scenario.
But it's not even. They're barely even sentences. I was saying before we started the show, right. When he has a paragraph of policy ideas, it's just BuzzFeed headlines. I would hit them so hard it'd blow their mind. They'd never recover.
I'm just saying that this is not really anything more than that.
I guess my question is, should Obama just say this? Like, fuck all the nuance. Just go out and say we're gonna punch him in the face so hard. Is that what the American public actually wants?
I think that yes, I do.
Some portion.
It's some portion.
He is hitting them hard. He is bombing them hard.
Barack Obama politically, and I was reading this week.
And by the way, he is killing their families.
Yes, he is killing.
Of course,
but he is also.
Russia killed something like 1,000 civilians in 1 month with their bombing.
Right. That's what doesn't work. That's why this is a relevant conversation. Barack Obama explains. Donald Trump says what he's going to do. Donald Trump punches you in the face. Every time there's a story about how Barack Obama, even time how leftists like us say the president needs to explain. He doesn't need to explain anything. Whatever he explains, it's lost, right? He has not really won politically. So, I mean, he needs to explain also. But yes, to answer your question, you know what? I'm tired of this. I'm going to find them. I'm going to hit them. I'm going to hit them hard. I'm going to hurt their families. You know, you're like, oh, look at that. But it's meaningless.
Okay, so there's two parts to this, right? So one is the point that Ben is making, which is, look, you do these like ticking time bomb scenarios. We've been arguing against them for 13 years, as long as we've been doing this show, right? It's because we don't live in 24. There is no Jack Bauer. There's no ticking time bomb. The reason you pose that hypothetical is because you'd like to torture people.
Right.
And you go, well, if you'd let me do it in a ticking time bomb, why don't you let me do it all the time, right? There is no hypothetical where you kill their families and then ISIS collapses and they're done, and we all go home and Syria and Iraq's a democracy. That hypothetical does not exist. The reason you pose that hypothetical is because you're too lazy to figure out how you're going to get the actual ISIS leaders. Like carpet bomb, you kill their families, who cares?
Right.
That's real. That's real.
Let me just interject for a sec. It's super satisfying to some to say these guys are so evil. I am so determined to protect you. I'll kill their families. That'll make it hurt so much because we would think, oh, well, I wouldn't want my family killed. And he's right to think they won't want their families killed either. He actually there's a moment of humanity in there for Trump. When he goes, they care about their families. I suspect that's true.
Well, why then doesn't it bother us when we're in this grip right now of everybody is so incredibly worried about terrorism? We saw Paris right now today. We're seeing in California. The idea that you would kill innocents is the most horrific thing supposedly that we can imagine.
They started.
He says the solution is kill more innocents. Ted Cruz said the solution is kill more innocents.
They're children. But it is playground logic. He started it. He punched me, so I punched him, and then I punched his friend Sarah because he started it.
Their heads are going to explode now. But I got bad news for you. We started it.
Right.
We started the Iraq invasion. We didn't start all the wars in the world. We're not guilty of everything.
That's the Jews.
So, but did we start the Iraq War, which created ISIS? We most certainly did. Who else started the Iraq War? Did Iraq attack us on 9/11, thereby meaning that they started it? No, they didn't. Al-Qaeda attacked us. Al-Qaeda had no connection to Iraq. And now even the Bush people admit that they had no connection to Iraq. So in that particular case, there is no question
What about that meeting in Prague? Come on.
Okay, so now let's just real quick do the second point here. The second point is as a matter of morality. I mean, Donald Trump pretends to be a Christian. I know that's not very convincing, but all the Republicans claim to be great Christians. The sins of the father shall not be passed on to the son. Oh, but let's murder his son anyway. Let's kill their family. Now, let's break out family here. Let's be more specific. Babies, daughters, sons, grandmothers, moms, right? So that's what Donald Trump is saying. Let's kill their babies. Let's kill their mothers. Let's kill their grandfathers. Let's butcher them all. Now, this is the party of morality? Does that sound moral to you? And he knows that it's not like Obama knows where they are, but he won't pull the trigger. We don't know where they are. So Trump is saying, to Ben's point, so what?
Right, so what?
So what? Let's kill their babies anyway. And maybe it's not their babies. Maybe it's somebody else's babies. Right. But so what? I'm going to be a tough guy, and the way I'm tough is by killing family members, aunts, uncles, moms, children, okay? That's not tough. That's grotesque. And then finally, if you were to flip it on them and say, Donald Trump, how would you feel if they killed your family? Alarm bells would ring all across the country. In fact, me saying that will cause red flags, alarm bells. And they say, how dare you? Don't bring his kids into this. Here, I'll name one of his kids, Ivanka. How dare you? How dare you? Now, I want to protect Ivanka. I want to protect his family. Because we're on the side of peace. We're on the side of progress. We're the good guys, right? But when you even mention the name of one of his kids, everybody else in the media, everybody else in the country will flip out. How dare you? Right?
Too far.
Too far. Too far. But he just said he'd murder their babies. He'd murder their kids, their teenagers, their grandmothers. He'd murder all of them. Why don't we say how dare you to that? Oh, you know why? Because you don't think that those lives, we're not talking about ISIS, remember.
That's right.
If we knew where ISIS was, we'd already bomb them. right? President Obama's already dropped 5,000 bombs on ISIS. It's not like we didn't drop enough bombs. When he says, let's just go bomb them over there and kill their family, why aren't we outraged? I know some of us are, right?
Well, Ben Carson has better intelligence as to where they are, right?
And then he admitted that, you know what he said? He said, I was joking. It was tongue-in-cheek.
Oh, that was funny.
Yeah, it was really funny. And this is really funny.
I don't get it.
The thing is, no, but this will
like
not only will not hurt Trump, it'll slightly help Trump. And the media will treat it as perfectly normal. Well, of course we should be killing their family. How about your family? How dare you? How dare you, you monsters, right? I want to protect everybody's family. For that, apparently, I'm the radical, right? And what kind of crazy upside-down world do we live in?
Yeah.
No, I'm going to propose something revolutionary. Let's try not to kill the innocents.